This episode of Art Block is brought to you by the supporters of my Patreon. If you would like to support the show, the link to my page is in the description below. Hello and welcome to Art Block, the show where we talk about art and how it's made. I'm your host Spirit, and today we'll be talking about why you should redesign your OC. The process of character design is something that I personally find fascinating, as it is one of the most common and most fun parts of creating art, especially in the online community. I have discussed character design a few times before, and even though I do feel like some of my points I discussed in the previous videos may need to be readdressed, I feel that the discussion of character design often leads out an important point: when you should change your character's design. Creating a solid character design is no easy task. From personal experience, I have spent hours, sometimes even days, attempting to perfect a character's design, only to realize later on that the design no longer reflects a character's personality. When it comes to designing characters, one has to understand a character's personality or what they represent before even considering what they look like. Of course, one can further flesh out a character's personality after they create the design, but in general it's better to have a general idea of who your character is so they look the part. This is actually one of the biggest reasons why characters will undergo a redesign. Especially when it comes to designing a character for a narrative, the process of writing can cause characters' personalities to change and evolve naturally over time. Changing how an OC looks to further fit their newfound personality and traits is not only recommended, but sometimes even necessary in order to maintain consistency. Of course, I wouldn't encourage you to change a character's personality just to suit a new style, since that can cause consistency problems when it comes to the main plot. Something to keep in mind when redesigning a character is that one should still maintain a certain level of recognizability. Something I would consider when working on how your character looks in the first place is coming up with a few test versions before deciding on your first quote-unquote final product. This will establish a base for where you need to move forward, as well as help you understand what details make the character recognizable. Examples of this are how you engineer your color palette, how your character's markings are laid out, and how they're shaped. If you're planning on changing how your OC looks, I would make sure that you don't stray too far from your base and make rather small tweaks until you are satisfied. Small things such as minor color palette changes or how an OC's hair lays aren't really something I would consider as full-on redesigns. To use an example, the character Spirit that you see on screen has undergone countless changes since her first concept design back in December of 2015, and has even gone from being quadrupedal to canonically bipedal with more anthropomorphic qualities. However, one can still tell that it is her despite all the changes. When you're feeling like you want to redesign your OC, ask yourself what traits makes them unique. In Spirit's case, the things that make her stand out are her blue and white coat, blonde mane, and antlers. Each of these parts have undergone minor tweaks, such as Spirit's markings going from spots to a simple saddle pattern, but in general you can still tell it's her. Of course, what if you want to start fresh but keep the same character? Say that you want to change a character's species or go with a completely different design, but still want to keep them recognizable. Well, here are a few things that you can do to help with that. The first example is to use the same color palette engineering but simply incorporate it differently. I've used this system myself when designing another character of mine, Kari, who uses a similar system of blue and gold but has significant differences such as her horn colors. Granted, the two are different characters, but they still have a certain level of familiarity, as Kari is made from some scrapped concepts I had for Spirit a few years back. Since then, the two have changed quite a bit, but in some ways I feel like the similar design aspect is almost a nice Easter egg to her origins. Another thing you can do to maintain their general shapes and characterization is to help emphasize the characters are one and the same. Take Anime Christie's updated Pony OC. Despite both having different designs, you can still tell it's her based off of the general shape of the hair, as well as small details such as the eyes and the cutie mark. Ask yourself what you liked about the old version. Consider what you thought made it unique. Keep in mind that simplicity can do just as much as increasing the complexity of the character. Something to ask yourself is, why are you remaking your character? Perhaps their characterization no longer reflects their design. Maybe they are a representation of your brand that you feel needs some updating, or your artistic skill has improved to the point where you feel it's time to have another go. Especially in cases where you're making character stills for, say, YouTube videos, updates every once in a while are not only recommended, but necessary in some regards. Over my time of producing these past 2 seasons of Art Block, I have gone through at least 4 versions of Spirit, with 3 of them being my own and 1 of them being made by the ever-amazing Elicity. Over these past few years, I've not only seen how I've grown as a person, but also how other people have interpreted my character, even providing me with a few new ideas on how I could change and evolve the character. Looking back at the older puppets I've made, I can't help but feel that designs are not only dated, but also are not a good reflection of my current knowledge and understanding of art. Sometimes when creating a character, changes should be made in the future in order to further show how much you've grown, whether it be through a simple character update or remaking an entire set of poses. Not to go too meta, but even now while sitting behind the computer and editing these videos, I can already see small aspects of my character stills that I would most likely like to change sometime in the future. Sure, these updates can be a real pain in the butt, but as time goes on, it's a good thing. Changing a design because you're no longer satisfied with it is a sign that you've grown as both an artist and a person, and is something you should be proud of. Something else that may drive people to change their OCs is receiving constructive criticism from others. This can be a little bit of a tricky situation, as everyone has their own individual tastes on what makes a good character design. Of course, I would encourage you to create a design that you are happy with, but also consider what other people have to say about your design. Perhaps the color on your OC are too bright, or it may clash in an awkward way. Or it may be small things such as drawing a deer with incorrect teeth. I would say take what people say to you with a grain of salt, but do keep in mind that some do genuinely want to help you with making your character better. So what do you think about redesigning characters? Have you redesigned your OC a lot, and if so, what kind of changes do you make? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I'm interested in hearing from you. And that's about it for today's video. If you guys like what you saw and you want to see more, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. It supports me and is practically free. Also be sure to follow me on Twitter and DeviantArt, where I post artwork and updates about the show. Want to chat? I have a Discord server where we can do just that. I'm active there on a daily basis, and I use that server to announce when new videos come out, so be sure to join. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Spirit, and I'll see you next time.